Ready?
Yes.
Okay, welcome to Lessons in Progress.
The podcast for growth is messy,
Lessons are ongoing.
and perfection is not the goal.
So before we get started with our podcast today, we're going to celebrate. We're going to pop some champagne because it's episode 1. So we have our cutesy little glasses. And let's see how this goes.
Here, I'll hold this.
Okay. Here, oh, 1.
Well, that is what's celebrating.
We got champagne all over the couch. Okay, ready?
Cheers. Cheers. Ooh, I'm excited. All right. Ooh, bubbly.
A little lovely.
Little bubbly. All right.
I think we should get into it.
Let's get into it. I'm going to set this down really quick because I probably will smell. Okay. I'm going to start with what inspired us to start the podcast.
Okay, so I have been wanting to personally do YouTube or podcasting for a while. I kept telling you, I was like, let's do it. I want to do it. Wait, we should do it together. Let's do it. For probably a year. And then 2-3 weeks ago, we were doing our workouts and we were talking about all these ideas. And we're like, if we did a podcast, we could have cute merch and we could be cozy and it could be a vibe. And our ideas just kept going. And we are on summer, so I was like, we just need to do it. So literally it was a Wednesday. And that Wednesday we just started. We ordered our hats that you guys will see later. We ordered our crew necks. We ordered all of our equipment. So the goal for the podcast, we're both teachers. So obviously we naturally will talk about teaching stuff. But we're also more than teachers. So it's not only going to be a teaching podcast. So we wanted to create a space that's fun and welcoming and inviting. And just have little girly chats, some about teaching, so teachers can relate, but also anyone can just tune in and have fun.
Yes, that's the goal. We really want to humanize teachers, and we don't want to just be seen as educators just being in the classroom, and so we want to discuss all these other aspects of our life.
So that kind of leads us into what I'm going to ask you is, what are some of the things that people will discover when they listen to Lessons in Progress?
Okay, obviously we will be talking about teaching. We will be sharing personal experiences. We both teach kindergarten at a Title I school. And the beginning of the school year for kindergarten is always very interesting. So I know we will be having a lot of conversations, sharing some kind of crazy, silly stories. So we definitely will be discussing teaching topics. But other things that we want to discuss is kind of outside of the classroom things, such as just girl talk in general, gym talk. We have been working out with my husband and at least 3 times a week, and we have both dealt with disordered eating or eating disorders. And so we're finally trying to figure out, at least myself, I'm figuring out how to navigate a healthy relationship with my food and body. And Jessie has overcame the eating disorder, and so it's been really helpful to be able to discuss these challenges, I guess, obstacles, and work together.
Yes.
So, yes, and then just talk.
Really just a girly podcast, but it's not only for the girls. If the guys, if your man wants to tune in too,
The gays, the theys, they're all welcome.
Everyone. We're all inclusive.
Yes.
Okie dokie. So obviously it's our first podcast. So we know each other really well. We worked together for going on 3 years. But we're not just work friends. We're built-in little sisters and besties now. So we know a lot about each other, but we want to tell you guys more about us. So Leash, go ahead and share something personal. Yeah, you and your story.
All right, well, I am originally from Illinois. I'm about 45 minutes west of Chicago, so I'm not from the city of Chicago, but that's the easiest to say. And so I grew up there, but for college, I came out to Utah. I went to Utah State, and I studied early childhood and elementary education. where I also have my emphasis in Spanish.
Hola.
I love Spanish.
¿Cómo estás?
Sí, mami. So, yes, that was my undergrad, and that's where I met my husband. And then shortly after graduating, I moved to Salt Lake, and that's where I started my teaching journey. And I've been in kindergarten for about six years now, so that's been really fun. And I just recently finished my graduate degree, my master's at the U, and so finally I feel like I can breathe.
Yes. That was also another reason that we said let's start the podcast, because neither of us are in school anymore. Like, we just had reasons. So that's okay.
We're all lessons in progress.
Everything's lessons in progress, including teaching my dogs how to be quiet, because they want to be part of it too. Okay, so I had a little bit of a different journey to teaching, but Leash had kind of touched on earlier that I had an eating disorder. So I was anorexic when I got diagnosed when I was 12. And so it took a while to recover. I was like recovered, I would say, by 18. But I'm telling you this because when I went to college, my parents wanted me to like have the college experience, but they also wanted it to be close enough because no one knew how college was gonna go. So I grew up in Park City. It's like this little ski resort mountain town, but the University of Utah is just like 30 minutes away. It's down the canyon in Salt Lake. So I went to the University of Utah, and I changed my major 3 times. So I was social work, then I was psych, then I actually 4 times. Then I was elementary ed, and then I ended up graduating in health studying policy. I had just been in college already for like 3 years, and my elementary ed person was like, it's gonna be another 1. I was like, or 2. And I was like, not happening. So there's a bunch of alternative routes to teaching. So I graduated in 2019 from the University of Utah with my degree in health studying policy, and then I applied to this program called, it was like a KIP is the school, and then the grad school is Relay. So I applied to that program. KIP pays for your master's. So little 22-year-old me moved to Houston, Texas. I loved Houston. I absolutely loved Houston. I was there for 3 years. Met a lot of amazing people I'm still really close friends with. And I got my master's in just arts of education down there. I taught 1 year in 1st grade and 2 years in 3rd grade. And then I made my way back home. There was a lot of reasons as to why that happened. Yeah, we'll dig into that later. But mainly was some things were happening with my family, and we were moving my grandma out here, and I just wanted to be closer to my people. So I came home, and then I applied here for teaching. I taught at Granger, which is how we met, essentially, because I taught kindergarten. Mm-hmm. So I went from 1st to 3rd down to K. I taught with her best friend, and so shout out Mitchell. So then I did a year there, and then I ended up having to get surplus, but then I got to go to her school. So at the end of my 1st year back in Utah, I got surplus. I went to a different school. Now I work at Lincoln Elementary. Yes. And I'm now going into my 3rd year as kinder teacher at Lincoln. So yes. We're really excited about that.
Yeah, and kindergarten is just, I don't know how you did the jumps, because I've only taught kindergarten, and every year it's like, oh God, like what am I signing up for and why am I doing this? Like you just forget how much they don't know, and they learn really quick, but going from 2nd, even from 1st down to K, it's just huge, so bless your heart.
It was definitely like an adjustment. I remember, I will never forget, so I did 3rd for 2 years. So like they think they're grown, but like they're not grown, but they think they're grown. But like they can obviously like do basic things, take care of themselves, like they, I'm sure, get in a line. Like they might not shut up, but they can get in a line. Mm-hmm. And I remember my first day of kinder, I only had 11 when I started, so I was like, oh, this will be a breeze, like we got this. And so we're like explaining, you stand up, you push in your chair, like I'm like, okay, great. Now I'm like, hey, get in the line. go line up, go to the door. And they looked at me like, line? Like, what do you mean line? Yeah, I didn't realize, like, you have to teach them, like, literally what a line is. So then everyone went back and sat down, and we got up one by one, and then not only the line thing, but, like, to walk in the line.
Oh,
like, that's a whole nother concept.
The middle of the hallway,
Yes.
touching the lockers, doing the snake.
Not, like, tripping over your friend, like, yeah, so I'm sure we'll do a podcast
Just on K?
Just on K in the first week of K. We start in a few weeks, so
it will be
that'll be
fun.
coming.
Stay tuned.
But yeah, just a little bit about us.
Wonderful. Okay. So next we'd like to talk about lessons that we have learned so far in life. We kind of discussed some in general, but with teaching and just life outside the classroom. And so I'll start off talking more about teaching. Oh gosh, teaching is rough because I feel like we're in a profession that there's a lot of perfectionism in it. Like you want to make sure you're doing right by your students, and you want to make sure you have everything prepped. But what's hard about it is like there's a never-ending cycle with teaching. You always have more to do. So you really have to figure out like how to set boundaries when it comes to work and home life. So that is something that I'm currently working on. I've gotten a lot better.
Yes, you have. I will give you your flowers.
I've gotten a lot better. But just being able to like go home at the end of the day and decompress and try your best to leave work things at work and then come to school the next day to be ready for the kids is huge. And so that's one thing that I've been learning is boundaries. I cannot be at the school 24/7, unfortunately, and I have to learn to be okay with that.
Okay, so one of the things that I feel like can be applied to life, but also teaching, and it was a lesson that I think I learned a little bit later in life, but just that you cannot expect you from everybody. That was something that like kind of hit me hard in my like early 20s when I was trying to like figure out like young adulthood and just like relationships, platonic, but also romantic. I was like, I would never do that to anybody. And I think that you will be a lot happier in life if you just realize that you can't expect you from everybody. Obviously with people that you choose to get close to, you can communicate your needs and everything, but at the end of the day, you are still two different people with two different backgrounds, different experiences, all of that. And so I think my last half, well, I'm not 30 yet, but my last half so far of my 20s, I'm 28, I think I've been able to like move through life a little bit smoother, just knowing like you can't take everything personal, but like just because I would or wouldn't do something to somebody or to like a group of people, like does not mean that is going to be reciprocated all the time. And we see this, like we see it in work, obviously. There's some, like you're not going to get along with everybody that you work with. So all the time I tell my team, like common sense isn't common and like they're also not us. So like they're not us, they're not going to do things the way that we do things, but just also outside of teaching. Like, everybody is different, and you can't expect you from everybody. You can only expect you from yourself. So, that's, like, my biggest piece of advice and, like, life lesson that I feel like has really kind of changed, like, how I interact with people.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, too, like, adding on to that is, like when you are in the classroom and you're in a schooling system, it can be hard to advocate. It's hard to speak up, and it kind of depends on people's voices and personalities. Like for myself, I'm very people pleaser, don't want to like ruffle any feathers, and kind of just want to make sure everyone's happy with me. But unfortunately, you kind of have to learn to step outside of that and set boundaries with work in general, with relationships in general, as well as like advocating for student needs, even if it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Also, this kind of also, I mean, everything we're going to talk about connects to life, but also it does have like teaching aspects. Life is hard. Teaching is hard. Living is hard. Everything is hard, but what we also have learned and we talk about often is it's really, really important to have people in your corner that make your life easier or better or bring some type of happiness. So if you don't have anybody or a group of people, even if it's a small group, that you feel like you can go to completely unfiltered, I really advise you to try to find those people. I know it can be hard. I'm not saying that it's like necessarily easy, but whether it's like with who you're in a relationship with, which I can now say, like,
Ooh.
I have somebody
Ooh.
that makes me feel valued and appreciated and cherished, which can make hard days easier. But I also have you and Jess, shout out Jess and my family. Like, I have some people that really, like, I know I can come to with anything, for anything, happy, sad, crying, angry, like anything. And I will not be judged, and I'll just be loved and supported. So I think that those are all like things that we've learned. And
Definitely.
I don't know how you make it through life without any of that.
Yeah,
honestly.
you definitely need it.
Okay, so we kind of told you like a little bit about us, like where we're from, stuff like that, but we also kind of want to dig into like some of our struggles that we have as either humans or teachers or whatever, however you want to answer it. Like some of our strengths that we also have as those things, and then like some stuff that you're passionate about.
Yes. Okay. Wow, we are getting vulnerable. Okay, here we go. Get to know us. So we'll start off with struggles. I struggle with pretty lot of anxiety. I think anyone around me knows that. I recently have dug into the anxiety categories to recognize that I have OCD. And it actually is pretty healing to have like a specific diagnosis, because you're able to realize like, oh, haha, my brain, that's so silly. Like, I have to use coping mechanisms to work through it, but I'm able to recognize that like, this is kind of a part of who I am. And so I'm a little bit more forgiving to myself. OCD can be definitely misunderstood, and there's lots of different strands of it. And so from my therapist, I have perfectionist OCD, and it makes a lot of sense. I'll just end it there. So I struggle with really bad anxiety, people pleasing, making sure everything, I try to keep everyone happy. So It's a struggle for me because it can be seen as a strength, you know, trying to make sure I have everything in order and I get a lot of work done. But at the same time, it does impact like my day-to-day life quite a bit. So that is one of my struggles. I also have been on this journey of healing my relationship with my food and body. And like I mentioned earlier, that is rough. I have been in therapy for consistently weekly for over 4 years. So it's been a lot. I've learned a lot about myself, and I honestly am just a huge advocate for therapy. I absolutely love it. So those are some struggles that I have. I would say strengths.
You have strengths.
Here we go. Strengths, I'd say, I like to make people feel welcome. Yes. Like, I want to make sure, I mean, I have a really good heart. Like, I feel a lot for other people, and I try to kind of like feel, I like walk the walk, like have, what is this? Oh gosh.
I always get empathy and sympathy and
yes.
stuff, but I think you're more empathetic.
Yes. Yeah, there we go. Empathetic. So I have a lot of empathy for people. And that kind of leads into like my passions as well. I graduated obviously with my master's in education, culture, and society. And that just really looked at the schooling system as a whole. And it's pretty depressing, but just how inequitable it is for people of color and our multi-language learners. And so I'm really passionate about different cultures, different languages, and allowing everyone to come as who they are. So those are some of my passions.
Great. Okay, well, she started out with her struggles. So I guess I'll start out with my struggles. I also have anxiety. Anxiety is something that happens with kids who have eating disorders. Like, it is like an anxious tick. So I felt anxiety, I guess, when I was 12 in a different way. But when I moved to Houston and was away from family, and I was in a really unhealthy relationship, and grad school, all of that, it kind of like started my like anxiety and like panic attacks. I remember my first panic attack. I was like walking up my stairs after a long day on the phone with my mom, and I literally felt like I was gonna collapse. Like I was like, I'm having a heart attack. Something is wrong with me. What is this? So that was like the beginning of like, wait, this was scary. So then I started to have anxiety about having anxiety,
Oh, that's the worst.
which like, if you know, you know, it's horrible. Like you honestly are like living your life just scared of when that feeling's gonna happen again. So that was my first year teaching, and I came home for Christmas, talked about to my doctor, and she was like, well, we could do Prozac, and I was like, no, because I don't want my body to get dependent on medicine. So I was like anti-medicine for a while. But then about a year later, it just got to the point where it really was starting to like affect my day-to-day life. Like I was like always waiting for when I was going to feel anxious, and then I was, like I said, anxious about feeling anxious. And so I got diagnosed with this generalized anxiety disorder a couple years ago, and opened my mind to a low dose of Prozac, and that's literally made such a difference. Like I'm like, because if you've ever had an anxiety attack, it's terrifying. Like your heart races, you're sweating, sometimes your vision's impaired, like you're not breathing, so you're not getting oxygen to your brain, so you feel like you can't think, like you're like, I'm dying. And I just was like, I had learned some breathing techniques to kind of help, but I was like, I don't want to do this every single day.
Well, and there's only so much that like your body will allow you to do when you have
Exactly.
like, cycle,
Well,
physiologically.
yeah, it's like literally like imbalances in your brain. Like, because I also thought that because I didn't think I'd had it my whole life, that I could just like overcome it.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, well, I haven't had this, so like it'll just go away. And it was not just going away. So I think that was one of my biggest struggles in like just navigating like, you know, the different aspects that you have to navigate when you have something that like also, I mean, I know society is opening up a little bit more about like mental health and anxiety and depression and all that. But when a society is constantly telling you like either it's fake or you're fine or like stuff like that, like it's hard to accept it as yourself. Like something's wrong with me because I have anxiety. Nothing's wrong with you. Like I'm on 10 milligrams now of Prozac, and like life can be better. Like we're
Shout out medication.
Yes, it works. I promise you, it works. So I would say that was has been one of my like more recent struggles that I've had to like learn how to navigate. As far as some of my strengths go,
Oh, I'm ready.
sorry, there's a fly. I think one of the reasons that you and I are so close is because we both are, okay, you're a people pleaser.
Yes.
So like when I like love you or like feel affection and strong or whatever, like once you're one of my people, like you're one of my people. And I will support you and care for you and love you and give you your flowers and give you your roses, like figuratively and literally. I just feel like when I love wholeheartedly, and it doesn't matter like if you're one of my friends, if you're my man, I have 2 nephews and 1 little niece, and like they're my whole life and my whole world. So I think that like that is one of my biggest strengths is like once you're my person or my people, you're in, and like my love is also like unconditional. Like I will not judge you. You can come to me with anything. I'll help you figure out anything I can. And like I have patience with people I love. If I don't love you, if I don't love you, it might be a different story.
Like,
but yeah, I think that like how hard I love when I love is one of my biggest strengths.
I agree.
So, and then passions. This obviously ties back, I feel like, to what I do for a living. So I knew from a really young age that I wanted to do something with children. I grew up in a very, very, very wealthy area where I didn't really see like people's struggles were not struggles. Like they got an Audi instead of a Mercedes for their birthday. Like literally, like I was like, that's ridiculous. But I obviously knew, like I traveled, I have family that didn't live there, so like I knew that that wasn't a reality, and that specifically kids, my education and like my parents being able to speak the language and advocate. I have a processing delay, so sometimes it takes me a second to like understand what's being said and like comprehend it, but I had parents who were able to take me to the doctor and speak the language and advocate for me, and tell my teachers. I got diagnosed with that like in high school. But anyway, I think one of my passions is definitely working with children from different socioeconomic classes than I was raised in, and my whole thing is I want to give the students a voice to, like, I want to be their advocate when they can't advocate for themselves, but I want to give them a voice and empower them to be able to use their voice later. Obviously in kinder, like, there's only so much we can do, but even with the kinder babies, like affirmations are a real thing, you guys. Like, that's a whole other story for another time, but like affirmations work. And just seeing them light up when they finally like believe in themselves and like believe that they can do something is literally like magic. Like, there's nothing better. So I always knew that I wanted to work with kids. I always knew that I didn't want to work with rich white kids.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just this year specifically was like a really, really, really hard year. But I had so many parents send me messages or tell me things when they pick their kids up about how much they see growth in their children, or how much their kid like loves to come to school or stuff like that. That like it truly makes it be like, hey, this is what I do this. So I think that was my little passion.
Yes, I love that. All right, this kind of goes and ties into everything of like kind of what we stand for in a sense, but I will let you start off with what do we stand for and what are our values? I'm sure you guys probably already kind of know from what we discussed.
Yes. So I think our biggest value, and I guess like what we stand for, this podcast and like our lives and everything, this is a space where everyone is included. We like obviously value integrity with each other, but also like the people that we interact with. Compassion, respect, humility, all of those things, but we do not stand for like hate comments, hatred, actions, hatred, like none of that will be tolerated. She's the people pleaser. I'm not a people pleaser. So like if you snap, I will snap back.
I'll be upset about it. I'll be coming to her and being like, this is not okay, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then
I'll do the snap back early. So yeah, that's like really what we stand for, and that's not just this podcast. That's like our lives and our morals.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously this is episode 1. We're so excited to finally be starting this. We literally have said for, like we said at the beginning, a long time. But Leash, what do they have to like look forward to? What's to come?
Yes. Okay. So I also would like to acknowledge, or if we do have any like our listeners, if you want us to have sort of conversations about inside the classroom first or outside the classroom first, we'd love to hear that. But I think because school is starting up soon, we'll probably have a lot of inside at the beginning of the school year conversations, but also just like navigating life outside of the classroom and figuring out how to become a better you is something we will be discussing about a lot.
We are also going to be crying and laughing and talking about therapy we kind of touched on, and talking about ebbs and flows and growth and everything. So I feel like there's so much to come. We're really excited. I feel like, yeah, there's just so much that we're going to be talking about. And as you can see, we're always going to have either a little teeny or some type of glass. So
until next time, be kind to yourself.
And just remember, we are all lessons in progress.
Bye.